When it comes to fan casting Hell's Kitchen, there's no better concept than heroes versus villains, as obviously Hell's Kitchen has its wide variety of legendary heroic and villainous chefs, who are all unique in their own way. And with many people agreeing that Survivor's best season is indeed heroes versus villains, why not Hell's Kitchen be the next reality TV show to pull off this concept? What's going on, guys? I'm FlynnMasters, and today, I'm happy to be joined by up-and-coming Hell's Kitchen YouTuber RubyStretch, as we'll be fan casting Hell's Kitchen heroes versus villains.
Hi everybody, this is RubyStretch, the placement predictions guy. Before we continue, I want to thank Flynn for doing this fan cast with me. I had some fun. I hope you enjoy our picks.
The two of us each picked out a list of chefs and combined our top picks together to form a cast of 20, with 10 villain chefs on one side and 10 heroic competitors on the other. As a disclaimer, we tried to avoid super controversial chefs, and we also avoided 3-time chefs for this cast, hence why there'll be no obvious picks such as Elise or Van. So with all that out of the way, let's fan cast what would hopefully turn out to be a legendary season of Hell's Kitchen.
Bloody hell, here I go again.
The number one hero on my list, a number one for most HK fans I assume, is Sterling Wright. Yeah, sorry to be totes obvious here, but you simply cannot do this season without Mr. 100. I mean, yeah, Sterling is without question a legend in the HK community, as nobody has the level of charm and general likability that he does, making every one of us smile. And not only that, but he's arguably on the Mount Rushmore of the Hell's Kitchen franchise, and it's honestly crazy we haven't seen him return in any form. This season would hopefully be a ratings hit regardless, but I can assure you, at the very least bringing Sterling back for one more chance will unite many Hell's Kitchen fans, as he is indeed the face of the franchise when it comes to Hell's Kitchen heroes.
I'm always 100.
What's his 100?
I'm 100%.
Okay, 100%. Right.
Nice and creamy. Did you cook them with milk?
No, with a lot of love.
Oh, nice.
The one dish that stood out that was a clear winner for all of us, Sterling. Good job.
With love. That's love, baby.
Okay, so the first of my 5 picks for the heroes is someone who I just can't do a Hell's Kitchen heroes versus villains cast without, no matter how unrealistic a return on her part would be, and that is Elsie Ramos from season 1. Like geez, I love Elsie. Elsie came into the show's inaugural season as someone who barely had any professional cooking experience, but managed to hold her own against more experienced chefs such as Chris, Ralph, and Michael. Additionally, as a mother of 6, Elsie garnered a lot of empathy from viewers as a relatable homey cook as the season progressed. Though this fancast had its fair share of underdog figures, I'd say that my previous points about Elsie combined make her stand out as the show's first ever rootable underdog, or as some might say, the original hero. She had a comparatively strong start of the season, and she even beat Chris in a nomination even though he had much more professional experience. Finally, fans were irked when Elsie was sabotaged at the Final Four, but this also shows that the competition might have been scared of her. Given how long it has been since we've last seen Elsie, would her kitchen wisdom be highlighted on a return, or would she be seen as a hindrance to the fast pace? Only one way to find out.
As excited as I am, I'm terrified. I've never worked alongside of a chef. What the hell am I doing?
After an hour and a half serving your starters, you're very competent. Elsie, risotto looks delicious. You've come a long way. And for a woman that's never spent an hour in a professional kitchen, you impress me.
Thank you.
And behind that, you touched my heart. Elsie, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
On to the female heroes now, and my first pick is a chef for one of my all-time favorite seasons, with that being Rochelle from season 12. I mean seriously, there's a reason why people call her the female version of Sterling, as I don't know how anyone can dislike Rochelle. Not only was she beyond lovable, always keeping a positive attitude despite an extra long Hell's Kitchen stay, but she could cook as well, easily one of the best line cooks of the season, and she would be a serious winner contender if she just improved on her leadership. Not only that, but due to her bubbly personality, she was constantly underestimated, even being put up for the dumbest of reasons.
She said her true passion is to start a family.
I thought about that too. But we chose Rochelle. We're just concerned that her passion outside of here is starting to overtake what's going on in here right now.
But yet despite all of this, she never stopped being her loving self, and she supported her teammates through it all, despite this being a competition. It's an absolute shame nobody from season 12 has ever returned, but if there was ever an obvious standout pick, especially for a heroes versus villains season, Rochelle would be one amazing contestant to see come back.
Let me tell you something.
I didn't mean to giggle, I'm sorry.
You make me giggle. In the history of this competition, have I seen someone that has been so energetic, and that energy can go far? You're gonna have a very bright future, let me tell you.
Thank you so much.
Next, my second pick for the heroes is on the opposite end of the spectrum as a fan favorite from a recent season, Chris Motto from season 18, Rookies vs. Veterans. During a string of seasons in which men's teams were generally receiving unfavorable edits compared to the women's teams, including on season 18, Mato stood out as not only the best male performer of the season, but also arguably the best rookie of the season as well. The problem with the men of season 18 was that most were either booted early or were greatly involved with conflicts with Trev. Mato tended to keep calm, humble, and would have been a likable runner-up had he not quit. People pitied Mato as they felt that he had to suffer through a surplus of punishments for mistakes that he did not necessarily make himself. Mato also had his funny moments, such as giving off a stone vibe a quarter of the time. Finally, though a lot of quits are viewed negatively, Mato's was not. He made it clear that he was only quitting because he wanted to combine the elevated cooking styles that he had learned with the cuisine world from back home in Baton Rouge before going to the next level. On a return, Mato will surely have the hunger to finish what he had started, because he probably succeeded with his Baton Rouge mission by now.
Once you're done in Baton Rouge and you're ready for the next move, call me.
Yes, chef.
A big city in the spotlight may come in the future, but right now I just need to elevate Baton Rouge. I want to go back there and just push the out of that envelope.
For better or for worse, these past 3 newbie casts, while talented, have been pretty vanilla, with no true standout personalities. But with that said, I can't remember the last time we saw a chef as popular as Steve from Hell's Kitchen Young Guns. And what's so great about Steve is that it's not his underdog status or over-the-top personality that makes him beloved by the audience. Steve is just your average 21-year-old chef who has a passion for cooking and puts his head down and gets to work, all while being a supportive teammate. His amazing work ethic combined with his monotone personality makes him such a unique character, and as with Sterling, I don't think I've ever seen or can imagine a reason why anyone would dislike the kid, and would love to see how much farther he can make it with even a bit more years of kitchen experience.
I can guarantee you that when I come back, I promise you that I'll be firing in that 6th gear. I'm firing on all cylinders, and I'm ready to kick ass and take some initials, because names take too long right now.
Your attitude has been solid. You never complained once, and you've come back fighting time and time again.
Thank you, chef.
Okay? In fact, keep your jacket. Okay? I don't want it.
Moving on, my third pick for the heroes is someone who I felt needed to be of a certain caliber in order to maintain balance given a certain pick of ours on the villain side, and that is the runner-up of Season 5, Paula da Silva. Though she did not win, Paula was clearly the best chef on the Season 5 Red team and arguably on the entire cast. Paula rarely made any mistakes, never pissed anyone off, had calm responses as a leader, avoided conflicts, and was nice. While most of the other heroes in this video stood out for the humor, lovely personalities, or storylines, Paula was rootable for her consistency, talent, and overall skill. What makes Paula the ideal heroes runner-up? First, I find that she has a much better track record than Virginia and even certain other chefs with underdog storylines such as Bonnie and Mary. Second, she had more net positives in terms of likability than certain other skilled likable runner-ups such as Will and Jason. Last, compared to more recent runner-ups such as Mary Lou and Daphne, she would have less likelihood of returning given future opportunities. If Paula were to return, I could imagine that her storyline would be more focused on relationships and proving that she still has what it takes to win, though Ramsey does tend to be tougher on more skilled returnees when they slip up.
Paula,
Yes, chef.
you have seriously excelled throughout. So well done.
Thank you, chef.
Coming in second place in Hell's Kitchen is definitely not going to stop me. There's so many doors that are going to open up. I am not one least bit upset right now. I'm walking out of here a winner.
My next female hero is Nicole Hannah, aka Nikki from season 19. I mean, pretty much take what Ruby said about Elsie and apply it to Nikki, as nobody took her seriously to start, and yet she passed everyone's wildest expectations, just missing out on a black jacket. Nikki, along with Steve, is also one of the faces of this new era of Hell's Kitchen, as despite there being so many lovable and rootable chefs in season 19, she stands out as the biggest fan favorite, and I think we can all agree that seeing Nikki come back would be an absolute joy, as I can only imagine how much better she would be now compared to season 19.
Here we have a miso and monkfish stew and a crispy rice cracker.
Love the rice cracker.
Thank you.
I was so scared about this damn rice cracker, and he likes the rice cracker. I did a good thing today.
Nikki, it's the first 5 out of the gate. Good job. Wow. Really good. But you have earned my respect. You are the most improved chef that I've ever witnessed in the history of this competition.
Thank you so much, chef.
Going forward, my fourth pick for the hero side is also an ideal choice in order to maintain balance, but in a different way than Paula. With Sterling and Nikki so far being the only 2 non-black jackets in what is generally a stacked team of heroes, I felt that it would be appropriate to include Rodney Bell, an outright rootable hero from season 14, on this cast. Out of the men who made the gift phase but not the black jackets, Rodney seemed to be the best fit. Kinda like Elsie, he was a likable older guy who defied certain expectations and was generally strong, especially considering the competitive playing field of Season 14. The only bad thing about Randy was his paranoia towards the end of his initial run. In spite of his age, his lack of experience began to stick out like a sore thumb and Ramsey eliminated him, ironically after his team had won service, but not without praising him for the positive things that he had achieved throughout the competition. It'd be cool to see if he'd do better considering that he'd probably have more experience by now, which combined well with his leadership abilities. However, given that he was the last one picked during the final service of Season 14, it seems that there may have been other cracks in his skill set that we haven't seen that his positive edit may have camouflaged, so we have to see.
I'm retired military 25 years.
For his first ever Greek dish, Randy has made pan-seared chicken with eggplant and new potatoes.
I don't think you can get any more Greek than this on a plate. I just keep tasting home. That's what I keep tasting.
Delicious.
Yeah, that's a 5.
Thank you, Chef.
5.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Chef. That means a lot.
Country bumpkin ass Randy killing it. That's what the I'm talking about.
If you would have told me after episode 6 of season 6 that Tennille would go down as one of Hell's Kitchen's greatest heroes, I would have laughed in your face. The girl was a loudmouth, threw hissy fits, and of course, Liddy told Ramsey he was crap to his face.
You upset now?
Yeah.
That you are, because you're crap.
You're crap.
Get out of here.
You.
And yet, she proceeded to have one of the greatest comebacks in Hell's Kitchen history, as she went from a potential early boot to dominating the season along with Kevin and Dave, obviously great company. Throw in the fact that she'll have a good rivalry with a certain chef on the villains team, and she came from arguably Hell's Kitchen's most iconic season, and I feel Tennille's intense personality would be a great contrast to most of the other hero chefs, and would make for a fun return.
I am so proud of you. You fought back like I've never ever seen anybody in Hell's Kitchen fight back.
Thank you.
The greatest comeback. You never forget that.
No way.
Head up high.
Always, chef.
And finally, my 5th pick for the heroes is someone who, at the end of the day, should have been told to keep their jacket over a certain notorious villain, Tommy Stevens from Season 9. What's interesting about Tommy is that he had the same trajectory as a cliche underdog figure of Hell's Kitchen, but I don't feel that he actually got the underdog edit, and was instead liked by fans for how nice he was and due to his occasional humor. Additionally, he established a lot of good bonds throughout the competition and was straight, when at least successfully blindsided Jennifer at the final 5. About his aforementioned trajectory though, Tommy did not start out of the gate too strong and was arguably one of the weaker chefs on the blue team at the time. The question seemed to be whether he would make the gift phase rather than whether he would make the black jackets. However, as the blue team progressed throughout the season, Tommy established himself as a consistent pillar which earned him that black jacket. Though he did get stronger towards the end of the season, he was not as strong as Paula or Will, so he'd have something to prove going into this season, especially considering that he narrowly lost to Elise.
Then I just put a side of Brussels sprouts, which were cooked down in your Hefeweizen.
That's good.
Yeah, rock on. That's pretty good.
Good job. I mean, really good job. Back in line, both of you, please.
Thank you, ladies.
Good job, Tommy.
I was just trying to flirt a little bit. The cute brunette seemed to enjoy my company.
Congratulations goes to blue team.
Good job, Tommy. Good job, Tommy.
Here you go, guys. Good job.
Hell yeah, I aced it. This definitely proved the fact that I'm just the most awesome of anyone in the world.
Okay, with our heroes out of the way, I'll pass it back to you, Flynn, to kick off who our villains are.
I've talked about this next villain a lot on my channel, and that's because despite being an early boot, he's still remembered as one of Hell's Kitchen's most arrogant chefs, with that of course being Scott from Season 7. Despite constantly failing in Hell's Kitchen, Scott never stopped boasting about his resume and how much better he was compared to everyone else, which ultimately led to an iconic elimination. Not only is he a prototypical villain, but given that he is the earliest boot we have returning, it also makes for an interesting storyline, as Scott could either learn his lesson or continue to be the cocky a-hole he was in Season 7, despite going up against mostly proven chefs, which would make for even better television.
It'll be a struggle for me to be a cook amongst other cooks because I've become accustomed to being a chef amongst cooks. I would be embarrassed to finish second place.
I mean, it's, rather pathetic.
Okay, so the first of my 5 picks for the villains is one of 2 people who I think of right away when I think of Hell's Kitchen villains. The other person is Elise, and this person is Sabrina the Teenage Sabrina Brimhall from Season 8. Many fans peg Elise as the most unlikable contestant ever, but mine is actually Sabrina. Though her yelling fits were amusing to watch, she irked me when she performed well for a change because she would get on her high horse in these cases, and it was grating watching her survive so often only to be taken out when it was already too late, that is, at the black jacket phase. Thus, this exact unlikability ironically makes me want her on this fan cast so badly. Additionally, and frankly more crucially, I would actually see her as having the best potential storyline out of all these returnees, in her case a big 180 in terms of her personality. Watching how Sabrina will have transformed over the past 13 years, both as a person and as a chef, would be interesting, especially when you consider what Sabrina has done with her life since her father died around season 17 All-Stars. What would the dynamic be between Sabrina and the other villains before Ramsey probably just makes the teams men versus women again by episode 4 as usual? We'd have to see.
Put me up, I don't give a Put me up, shut the up. No, you're a little ass bitch. Yeah, you deserve to up. You're an executive chef. You ain't done better than me at all. I totally lost respect for all of them. I'm gonna make their lives literally hell. They haven't seen anything yet.
The next villain on my list is a bit more of an anti-hero as opposed to a true villain, but that's exactly why I want to see her come back, with that being Tara from the most recent season, Battle of the Ages. On paper, Tara is your typical sweet older lady chef and is a mentor of some sorts to the younger contestants. However, Tara was having none of the 20-somethings midway through the season, as she felt she was outcasted by her teammates. She also had many other confrontations and definitely would be vocal about it. Now again, her behavior could be seen as justified in many cases, but she's such a unique character given her archetype, and I would love to see her get a second chance, especially since she has a lot to prove after just missing out on earning a black jacket.
Alex, seriously, this is for you. Go yourself. That's how I feel.
See, they're all done with me. Like, they don't know even talk to me anymore. Like, I'm done. I have nothing to say to anybody here.
I'm sorry. I know it sucks.
I feel like you guys are all against me.
Next, my second pick for the villains is someone who is just plain appropriate for this season, since he and the aforementioned Sabrina were key players in terms of why I would hesitate to rewatch season 8. This person is a runner-up who arguably performed better than the winner he lost against, but thanks to how he conducted himself, was never going to steal the deal. Russell Cook. At the beginning of season 8, Russell was actually one of the more likable people on the blue team, especially considering that he seemed to be pretty tolerant of Raj, while the other men were gradually losing their patience with him. However, soon after Raj's boot, Russell began to emerge as the season's male villain. In an early instance when Sabrina was named the best of the worst and had all the power, Russell stroked the evil queen's ego as she behaved like she was a mafia boss, putting his arm around her and suggesting that she blindside Gail that night. On his own team's side, he developed into a bully as the season went along and came across as scary to some of the other guys who went out before the Black Jackets. When the individual phase began, Russell put the infrared beam on Trev, the other remaining man, and pulled the trigger, badmouthing and threatening him. Most of all, Russell became infamous for his poor sportsmanship in his last confessional after losing to Nona in the finale. The thing is, like another Russell on an actual Heroes vs. Villains season, his loss is at the center of some debates regarding what is valued in a Hell's Kitchen winner, which I'll discuss I guess in another video. I could see Russell getting past the first few rounds on a return if he doesn't screw up, but what we're all wondering is if he will tone down his approach this time round.
It just got grimy, bro. Don't think that wasn't the toughest decision I've had to make. Say whatever you want.
Just got dirty.
Time into the train tracks. I came out alive, and you are in so much trouble, bro. You need to talk to me about this. Whatever. Let's go.
Yes. Don't tell me yes. Get it moving. Russell is a douchebag.
Say what you will about season 16, but it obviously had its iconic villain, specifically on the blue team. But if I had to bring back one, it would be Matt. I mean, come on. The dude literally got into the face of Ramsey on night 1. Not even Joseph exploded that quickly. He's obviously unlikable due to the prototypical villainous traits, such as cockiness, being intimidating, and was the main person to throw poor Aaron under the bus for having little kitchen experience. Matt's just a flat-out villain, and sometimes you have to have those types of villains to go up against the anti-heroes, and villains who are villainous for more specific reasons.
When things went badly tonight, the first thing you did was point fingers at everybody else. But the only person to point at is you.
Chef Ramsey is and then I go home when everybody else up every night. The whole time I've been here, it's been nothing but disrespect. If I was on the street right now and he came up to me with that same I'd him up.
Moving on, my third pick for the villains is someone who stood out more subtly as a villain on this season compared to a certain wildcard who flamed out earlier that season, Zach Womack from season 11. Though he had a star performance during the first cycle as he and Christian were the last two men standing during the corresponding service, Zach became arrogant though as the showings in the kitchen declined as the competition progressed. Soon after the gift phase began, Zach notably sabotaged Ray due to a spat that the pair had earlier in the service. Though Zach was later nominated by Ramsey that night for his act of sabotage, Ray was still eliminated over him. Also, he got petty with the red team on occasion thanks to his challenge losses, leading to some conflicts with Nedra and Mary. Summed up, Zach was interesting because his villainy was less about being a hothead or a competitive jerk, but more about subtler tones of arrogance, pettiness, and sabotage, all while giving the viewers a laugh with his humor on occasion. His negative tendencies led to him and Dan being the least wanted contestants during the finale. On a return, I expect Zach to retain his sense of humor, and I assume he'll be passionate about the competition given that he's been known to take part in several Hell's Kitchen themed events.
So, earlier, Chef Ray tells me to f off. And now I'm definitely gonna get revenge. I'm trying to sabotage him. Here you are, Chef Ray. I'm the last person you want to cross. This is the lesson learned the hard way.
It's cold. Ray, it's cold. 1 minute before you when he's ready. What's he got against you? What is it?
Chef. Chef, I don't have nothing against him.
The oldest villain season-wise we have coming back is Corey from Hell's Kitchen Season 4. Corey is notable for a lot of reasons, as she had plenty of rivalries, which included one with fellow villain Jen and Christina, the underdog winner of the season. Oh, and speaking of Jen and Christina, Corey literally broke the format of Hell's Kitchen, as Ramsey was forced to abolish the best of the worst naming nominations after Corey nominated her rivals as opposed to the true weak links. I mean seriously, Corey was trying to take out big threats before it was cool. She used her body to get her way, had plenty of fun arguments and conflicts throughout the season, and in general, a great villain from Hell's Kitchen's most watched season that I would love to see one more time.
I did good. I gotta give for that though. That was good.
I nominated Christina because she's kind of a spoiled little brat, and she made me personally feel a lot stupider than I am. Jen is possibly one of the most annoying people that I've known. I want her out of here, and that's it. I wasn't here to make friends, sorry.
Going forward, my fourth pick for the villains is the clear villain of Season 19 Las Vegas, Mark Quinones. With Hell's Kitchen toning the villain edit down in recent seasons, I feel that Mark would be the best representative to have on the villain side from the past few seasons. A real fireball, Mark stood out for his poor temper and how bad he was socially on the blue team. He often found himself in conflict mode when it was time for nominations, and it was tough for fans to watch him outlast Adam at the final 9. On a related note, his elimination at the final 8 was good TV in terms of watching the downfall of a villain. After just watching Mark beat out Adam, Cody, Declan, and Amber were united in their sentiment that Mark was their weakest link and that he absolutely needed to go next. Concerned that Ramsey might pull another blindside on the blue team had Declan or Amber been nominated alongside Mark during nomination time, Cody outplayed the nomination system and put himself up. Given that he's from a more recent season, I think that Mark would have the same skill level and personality as before on a close return. The thing is, with the competition more fierce this time around, whether he stays for the long run or leaves early will depend on the fluctuating skill levels of everybody else.
You deserve to go home.
I can cook way better than you.
You deserve to go home.
I can cook way better than you. And you talk too much.
Nice.
Dude, the whole night. Well, you know what? Then I won't talk then.
Yeah.
You guys.
Perfect.
The whole night.
Perfect.
Put me up and you pick horses going up there.
We are done.
Y'all full of.
As mentioned, a great counterpart to Tennille on the villains team is Suzanne. I mean, come on, with all due respect to her, just look at that face, it literally screams out villain face. But yes, with the Black Jackets of Season 6 featuring 5 of Hell's Kitchen's most beloved and iconic chefs, Suzanne was truly the outlier, as she had a nasty attitude and a loud mouth, and wasn't afraid to show it. And again, with her and Tennille's rivalry just being another great part about Hell's Kitchen's most legendary season, let's bring both of them back in this battle of Hell's Kitchen's greatest heroes and villains.
It pisses me off that my team doesn't believe in me. I believe it's personal.
This is a prime example of what I'm talking about. She was going to lead you to believe that this was personal. And that's what she does, throw people under the bus, Chef.
And finally, my fifth pick for the villains is a somewhat forgettable villain from a forgettable season, but trust my judgment on this. Jennifer Selhoff from Season 13. Jennifer made the cut for me for two main reasons. First, she proved to have strong skills in the kitchen that could provide a boost to the villains against the heroes. Second, she was essentially like Randy Bailey if he were on Hell's Kitchen, in terms of how unique she was as a villain, except she at least performed better. Basically, Jennifer stands out to me because while most other villains are getting into fights with other people, her unlikability came through more so in her confessionals. Jennifer seemed like an ordinary competitor to work with, but she almost always had negative things to say about her competitors in her confessionals behind their backs, especially Ro. I think that this is a brand of uniqueness that would be interesting to see in this season, as Jennifer would be working with more active villains this time around. The only thing is, though I could see Jennifer going far, I'm a little concerned that she'll get a comparatively stale edit this time around, but maybe I'm only saying that because of a bias due to her being from Season 13.
Why didn't you work with Ro, standing next to you?
I just don't feel like me and Ro communicate very well. I would have done anything she needed me to do.
Really?
Anything.
Buy that for a second.
So there you have it, guys, Ruby and I's combined Heroes vs. Villains cast, and here's a full look of it on screen. Let us know in the comments who you would swap out, and give me some other suggestions for future HK fan casting videos. Once again, a big thank you to Ruby for helping me out with this video, and be sure to subscribe to his channel.
I look forward to doing another fan cast with you, Flynn, in the future. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our channels for more Hell's Kitchen and Ramseyverse content. I have some fun ideas of what I can do with my community posts, but I need to get to 500 steps before I can use them, so that is the goal for now. Take care of yourselves. Toodles!
With all that said, thanks for watching everyone, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Get out of there.